YouTube, what's up? What's going on? It's Jamar here, Vegas Sense. And I know it's been a long time. It's probably been about a week since my last video. Um, as you can probably tell by my voice, I am a little sick or getting over a sinus cold. So I sound worse than I actually am. I'm pretty good right now, but my voice is not really where it should be right now. So excuse the voice. In this video, I'm going to be doing a comparison between another Alexandria fragrance here, Ombre Noir, and its original counterpart, which is YSL La Nuit de l'Homme. Okay, so YSL La Nuit de l'Homme is a fragrance that I'm very familiar with. I've smelled this, years ago. I want to say I probably smelled this at the same time that I smelled L'Homme. I think like years back, probably, I don't know, 2011, 2012 or so. I used to get samples off of eBay, and I remember getting like La Nuit de l'Homme and L'Homme. And I always remember just really loving the scent of this particular fragrance. It's really a nice, sweet, powdery, really sexy type scent. And the only thing is with the La Nuit de l'Homme, at least with the current formulations of it, it doesn't last at all. I want to say maybe it lasts about 3, maybe 4 hours or so on my skin. And then it pretty much it goes away. So I couldn't really justify paying, like $60+ for a 100 ml bottle of La Nuit de l'Homme if it performed so poorly. Also, from what I understand is, the vintage La Nuit de l'Homme smells a little bit different than the current formulations of La Nuit de l'Homme. Now, I don't have a sample of like the vintage version to compare it with, so I can't really say, how different, this current version is, or, the Alexandria Fragrances version is compared to the vintage version, because I don't have a sample of it. But what I am here to do today is just basically compare the Alexandria fragrance version to the, actual La Nuit de l'Homme. So, excuse me, sorry for the coughing here. The main thing that I get when I spray these two on, and I'm gonna spray one on one hand here and one on the other, and just smelling them off the cap, they smell very similar just off the cap. I would say the only difference is the Alexandria version smells noticeably stronger. But just as far as just actual scent or smell, they smell pretty much identical. Now, I think the main difference is when you actually spray these on skin. I gotta remember, this one is the Alexandria, this one is the La Nuit. So I'm gonna smell the La Nuit first. And you get the green cardamom up top. And see, the main difference between these two is the Alexandria version has something in it that's making it smell just a little bit more earthy and green. The smells themselves between the two pretty much smell identical, but it's just like there's something kind of sticking out with the Alexandria Fragrances version that gives it kind of like more of a sharper, greener type, earthier type smell to it. And just looking at the notes here, the notes according to Fragrantica for both of these fragrances are the same. So in the top you have cardamom, in the middle you have bergamot, Virginia cedar, lavender, and then in the base notes you have vetiver and you have caraway. So I'm assuming that the greenness that I smell that comes, from the Alexandria fragrances that seems to be noticeably stronger with that, I would have to say is probably the vetiver. It seems like the vetiver note is amped up just a little bit more in the Alexandria fragrances version. Overall, I would say the La Nuit version seems to be a tad bit better blended. So, there's not really one note that kind of sticks out. It all kind of seems to blend together nicely. And again, with the Alexandria fragrances version, you get like this really green vetiver note that comes from it. Now, it's not really off-putting, especially I would say after you let the fragrance age for probably about 3 to 4 weeks or so. I've had this fragrance for a little bit over a month, so it has had some time to sort of mature, and you can see here, I've barely used any of it, so I've given it a chance to, kind of let it sit and sort of mature. And I would say overall, I am pretty happy with the scent. I will say that. As far as longevity goes, it's not really that great. I would say this is probably it's not the worst performing Alexandria fragrance that I have. I would have to say Crystal Peak is, which is the Silver Mountain Water, interpretation. That really doesn't last on me at all, which is really disappointing because I really love the scent, but it just doesn't last and it doesn't really project that well. I'm gonna have to try to see how that performs, when it warms up. But so far in the weather that I've tried it in, which is anywhere from like 50 to 60 degrees, it just really hasn't performed that great. But yeah, this overall, I would have to say, once it sort of dries down, like at this point now, these two pretty much smell, I would say 98% identical. You definitely are getting pretty much the same vibe, I would say. And that extra greenness from this one, it sort of dies down, I would say. And it does sort of become, sort of the same smell as La Nuit de l'Homme, whereas, it seems to be, a better blended smell where everything just sort of comes together. That's how this one pretty much smells at this point. So overall, I would have to say that this one is definitely a good interpretation or clone of La Nuit de l'Homme. I would say it is worth a purchase if you have a lot of fragrances. And the only reason why I say that is because, okay, this is a 60 ml bottle that I got on sale for about $31 with the discount. Okay, for 60 mils. So that, I guess it kind of goes along the price of how much you could probably get La Nuit de l'Homme for on eBay for 100 mils, about $60 to $70. So it's along the price range of that, but I don't necessarily need too many more 100 ml bottles of anything, because with the 100 ml bottles that I already have plus the Alexandria fragrances, I probably have close to 30 different bottles of fragrances you know, in my rotation. So this one is good for me. I would say this one should last me a pretty long time. You know, it's not a fragrance that I'm gonna wear every day. Um, so it should definitely last me a few years, I would say at least, and it only cost me $31. So in that particular sense, I think it's good. But I would say if you plan on using, like, I guess La Nuit de l'Homme as like your signature scent or something like that, I would say it probably would make more sense to just buy the original, you know, La Nuit de l'Homme, especially if you're getting it from eBay. If you're buying it retail, then no, it definitely isn't worth it. But like I said, I've seen La Nuit de l'Homme on eBay for like $60 for a 100 ml bottle. So overall, you know, again, this is a solid, uh, it's a solid clone interpretation. Like I said, it's about in a dry down about 98%. I would say close to La Nuit de l'Homme, so pretty much almost identical. Just in the opening, I would say it's maybe about 89%, you know, close to La Nuit de l'Homme, and that's just from, you know, a little bit more of that greener smell, which I'm assuming, like I said, is the vetiver coming from this fragrance. All right. So again, that one is Ombre Noir from Alexandria Fragrances. Jamar, Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.